So, the fourth episode of Star Trek Picard, Absolute Candor. Here's my thoughts and me saying things on it. Let's get into it. So I think it's a slight improvement from the previous episode. We actually got plot progression. We start off with a 14-year flashback where we see Picard on a planet where there are Romulan refugees, which apparently he helped save along with this Romulan league of some kind, if you will, like a ninja type of nun league where they're like super warriors, best fighters Picard ever seen apparently. And what we see is that he has a bond with these people. They really like him. He's even mentoring, or rather has a relationship with this young boy that he brought to live with this all-women type of group. And you even see him sparring with the boy, like with fencing and whatnot. But from here, it does get a little bit downhill in terms of the plot. We do learn that they're trying to go to this planet before they go to Free Cloud. And again, it's a weird name for a planet, Free Cloud. It just sounds like a cloud service, some kind of like Free Cloud. Anyways, they go to this planet, and apparently the sector that the planet's on is rife with conflict. You have this Romulan warlord with this old bird of prey, and it's not a good place. And when Picard comes down to this planet, we see that the planet has decayed. There's like this Romulan only section sign. There's divide, poverty. It's just not what Picard remembered it to be. And we learn that the boy has grown up. He's a graduated warrior of this group. And Picard asks him for help, and he tells him initially no, saying that you only came here because you need me, this and that. And then you see Picard going out to this restaurant place where the sign was, where the Romulans only. He threw it down and tries to eat something, and then this former Romulan senator comes up. Obviously he's not a Romulan senator no more, and talks about this is super annoying. So apparently they blame Picard for the destruction of their world and not saving them, and apparently he thinks it might have been a way for the Federation to make them disorganized or less powerful. I don't know. It just makes no sense, because Picard does not control the Federation. Picard does not own the Federation. He does not have thousands and thousands of ships for rescuing Romulans, after Mars was attacked, which also wasn't Picard's fault. Again, it's like why is everybody blaming Captain Picard? The Federation, that stupid Admiral lady, with her profanity and F-bombs and like, female please, like, you're the one with the hubris, like, not Picard. You and the Federation. Anyways, the Federation blames Picard. Rafi's mad at Picard. People are just mad. These one-dimensional Romulans are mad at Picard. It just makes no sense to me. It definitely bogs you. It just definitely bogs you down. Like I said, my mind doesn't feel some type of hope by the end of the episode, or some type of joy in the way that other Trek feel. It just feels this universe feels different. I don't know. It feels dark, hopeless, just chaotic. It feels just disjointed in some way. I don't know. These are just thoughts. But anyways, they blame him for apparently not saving them. Like what? You do know the Federation decided not to send any more ships, and they were attacked by synths, which also wasn't Picard's fault. Picard wanted to still save y'all even after all that, and he even resigned for you. He resigned his commission for you, and it's not like he owns thousands of ships. It's just idiotic. Like, these Romulans are one-dimensional. And then we have this Romulan senator guy trying to fight Picard and give him a sword or whatever, and he's initially fighting, but then he needs some help. Obviously, he's old, and he gets saved by the boy that's all grown up now from previously, who denied him, and he chops off the Romulan senator's head. And this was shocking because oh my god, you have beheadings in Star Trek now. I guess I won't be showing this to my kids. TNG it is, I suppose. And I like this character. At first I thought I was going to be annoyed by him, but I don't know. For some reason I enjoy seeing his character in this show. I just enjoyed the atmosphere of the Romulan fighting nun group for some reason. I enjoyed them. Although, like I said, I really hated these one-dimensional Romulans hating on Picard. It makes no sense to me at all. You would have to be idiots to blame Picard. You know, these Romulans should be kissing his boots for what he managed to accomplish. He saved 250,000 people. Like, good lord, like, seriously. On a side note, earlier I noticed that this is kind of going back to near the beginning of the episode when Girardi is speaking to the captain of this ship. Basically, she's talking to Chris Rios, and she's like, oh, you know, space is boring, and I'm just like, what? Space is boring? Is this Star Trek? Like, oh my god, like, space is boring, like, the whole, like, where do we get these characters from? Like, where do we get this, which show, other sci-fi genre do we get it? Like, I just feel like Star Trek feels, in terms of sci-fi, it feels just so generic now. It just feels plasticky, I don't know. And it feels too much like Discovery too, and especially with that intro too. But anyways, she's like, the space is boring, which bothered me so much. And, you know, and then she's like, oh, you know, why can't it be called, you know, having a lot of stuff in it or something? And because we have 3 billion, over our galaxy has over 3 billion stars. And I'm just like, what? Over 3 billion? Like, of course, I mean, I would hope so, because it's estimated our galaxy has over 100 to 400 billion stars. Like, how did this get past writing in the drafts and editing and all that? Did no one notice this? Did no one double check this? I mean, this type of slip shot type of writing, you know, I expect it from Star Trek nowadays. I don't mind new vision, new tone, new stories, but the writing needs to be good. It needs to be thought out, planned, and I guarantee they did not plan this. Especially with Patrick Stewart's heavy involvement, and you know, do not let that man have any creative choices. You see what happened in Insurrection, freaking Nemesis. Like, God, good lord, the captain needs the out for God's sake. It's not a good idea. Again, I love Patrick Stewart. I love him playing Picard, but and he probably wouldn't have come back if you didn't include some of his ideas, which is like, I just don't like Captain Picard being hated on by everyone, and he just, I don't know. In this universe, it doesn't feel like Star Trek. I don't know. Deep Space Nine even felt like Star Trek, and that was a dark show. But there's always this light, this hope, this goodness to the characters, and every time you have these dark storylines, the Federation redeemed itself, or rather it was saved, and you learn that you have to be persistent, you have to be vigilant, right? With Admiral Layton, you see that with the end of the Dominion War, you see that with the infection of the Founders and genocide. At the end of the day, the Federation pulled back on that and they saved the Founders, right? You know, there was always a pullback. This just feels full on like aftermath without having a pullback of the Federation returning to its actual ideals or some sort. They went through it, and now we're seeing the aftermath of it, of them losing themselves. I'm just curious, what's happening with Federation, Bajor? What's happening with Bajor and Cardassia now? What's happening with the Klingons nowadays? Are they just sitting around letting the... Anyways, going back to the story. Yeah, so he does join Picard, the Romulan kid, who's samurai Legolas type of situation. And then they're attacked by that bird of prey we mentioned earlier, by that warlord. But then they're saved by the ship, which also gets destroyed in the process, but they beam aboard a person. And we find out it's 7 of 9. Yeah, and we find out 7 out of 9. And the episode, then she drops, you know, unconscious after saying to Picard, "You owe me a ship," and we have the episode end there. On another note, in the Borg ship, the Romulan Spock, or Spock Romulan, or whatever you want to call him, Narek, is still trying to figure out, you know, Soji's situation, and he's trying to find out where she comes from, or if there's more of her and things like that. And then you have this creepy ass scene between him and his sister, with Lieutenant Rizzo. Is this incestuous type of scene? It's just creepy. But basically he needs to find out the information they need about where more of them are and what's her plan, what's Soji's plan and things like that. That's a slow burning plot. I just hope things pick up. Like I said, this is a better episode, but it kind of goes downhill from everywhere else. What else? Did I miss anything? Let's see, Romulans, this, but I think that's pretty much it. It just makes no sense to me in this regard. But anyways, this episode gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Like I said, it was an improvement, story progression, but it's a 7 out of 10. It's just, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 for its own show, but it feels like if I based it off of being Star Trek, it's even less, but I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm just, please. Also, I hope they just, like, why do the characters talk like they're contemporary, like F-bombs, and it's just trying to be, what are they trying to be cool or whatever, like, just, excuse that burp. It's just so off-putting, that's not how the people in the future talk in Star Trek.